Hey yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Generational Beef Podcast. I am your host, Tristan Terrell, as well as my dad,
Noel Terrell, generational beef.
the Beef.
The beef.
So this week we are in the same place, just in two separate rooms, just to ensure quality standards are met, because we're nothing.
We
if
have
not-
high quality standards.
Yeah, we're nothing if not high quality. So, yeah. But that's fun. Other than that, we don't really have much this week. There's no LeBron news this week. There's no anything.
Thank goodness.
So I think we can hop right into our division. Keep this one kind of short and sweet. So we're going to go ahead and share my screen to wheel decide once again. We've only got one AFC division, or we could go in the NFC left, and I think they all get pretty interesting. So let's just see where we're going this week. And we're closing out the AFC this week. All right.
I'm feeling we'll have some big disagreements in this division.
There is going to be some fun in this division. Yeah, we are going to have some massive disagreements. I would like to start off by setting the stage with something I feel that we can both agree with, and I think that is no matter what the outcome is, there are massive, at least AFC title contention ties to whatever happens in this division. I think that
obviously
the high end of this division, no matter what you want to say, has, catch lightning in a bottle the right way, has Super Bowl contention potential. But
arguably
minimum,
one of them should have been there last year, and if not for a broken ankle, right? Like
Sure.
literally.
So I think that the teams in this division are very high caliber. The competition is going to be very stiff. So anything I say in this division, I'm not taking lightly or with a grain of salt, because it's going to be a fun one to watch. So that being said, let's get into assuming neither of us have done anything absurd.
I do want to start this out once again by creating the environment that I did this in. Traditionally, when Tristan and I do this before our podcast, even, we've always done this. I've always looked at it, and then I would ask questions like, what do I have their record at right now? Because I was trying to keep it more realistic, for lack of a better phrase, right? This time, I literally looked at each week as its own thing, right? Like, who do I think would win this game on an island, essentially? In addition to that, I also sort of took injury probability out of it. So I went into this one, because I always try to make guesses on that, and I think it usually hurts me more than it helps me. So I'm assuming everybody stays relatively healthy through the season. Now, if they're starting with somebody that's already injured, Patrick Mahomes, for example.
Okay, so I'm glad you prefaced that the entire argument you are going to make is going to be about injury.
I'm not. My whole argument isn't going to be about that. I said they weren't a playoff team last year, and guess what? They weren't. So, to be clear, I do take into account if someone's coming into the season that way already. But neither here nor there. I think we can start with last place. I'm pretty sure we agree on that.
That's what I was about to get to. As long as we didn't do anything absurd, last place should be pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, I have the Raiders there.
Yeah.
It's not a knock on them. I think they're moving in positive directions. I like the Kirk Cousins signing. Obviously, Fernando's drafting. You've got Bowers still. You somehow kept Crosby in all of this, who's a game wrecker. Like, I think the team is moving in the right direction. It's just that this division is loaded.
Yeah, and then
so
I would say arguably you didn't even mention the three biggest bright spots, which are going to be obviously your coach in Clint Kubiak, your signing of Tyler Linderbaum to play center, and then Ashton Genty, who's still only going into year 2, I think.
Yeah, like I said, I think they're going to be in a couple of they're a couple of years away for sure.
And not only
Their schedule's rough.
I was going to say, not only being a couple years away, which I do tend to agree with, although I think their offense could be relatively successful this year even.
I mean, except for you've got elite defenses, at
Well,
least two really good
going to say.
One elite, one really good defense in this division. But
that's what I was going to say, is that no matter how you look at it, even if you think that they are going to be semi-decent this year, the division's brutal. So it's
I don't have them even semi-decent record.
No, me either. Me either.
Because it's just tough. It's just tough. Yeah. I have them at 4-13.
Okay, so I have them at 3-14.
Yeah, and I don't have them winning a divisional game.
Yeah, me either. I have them winning week 1 against the Dolphins. I do have them
doing that.
I have them beating the Jets in week 8 and the Browns in week 12, and that's about it.
Yep. So that's probably about it for me too. I don't know who the fourth one is that I had them, but it's not worth looking at.
Right. Yeah. No.
All right. So who do you have in third?
Okay, so let's have some fun. You have 2 playoff teams from this division, I would assume?
I do.
I do as well. Now, here's where we differ. My team that misses the playoffs in the division is the 8 seed, so they are a game off. They were a great team. I'm assuming the team you have missing the playoffs is going to be an under 500 football team, which is
correct.
I believe to be unfair. However, at 11-6, even going 4-2 in division, I've got the Denver Broncos here. It's a really, really tough call to make. I'm not taking this lightly, as I've said. I mean, the strength of schedules are absolutely brutal in this division through and through. Obviously, they all play each other. They play the NFC West, and they play, I think, the AFC North. Do they play the whole AFC North? No, they do not. They play the whole AFC East. But either way, like the schedules and you're getting the NFC West and the AFC East, which means you're at least getting, 3, 4, maybe even 5 playoff caliber teams between those 2 divisions combined, and then your own, which is stupid. So there's just so much variability, so much possibility. I really think, other than the Raiders being decent, anything in this division can happen. Here's my concern. I think that because you're going to bring up Patrick Mahomes returning from injury, and I understand it's 2 different injuries.
But that's not even my primary thing.
Hold on. I'm aware. You're also going to probably not mention the fact that Bo Nix is also returning from injury, and these are 2 very
serious an injury, but fair enough. And he's way younger. But
he's not way younger. I mean, he played like 6 years in college, so it's a lot closer than you would think. But also, they, before injury to start with, were 2 extremely different caliber of players, obviously. So I guess my point is that even before the injury, Bo Nix, if you ask me, was like 17, 18, 19th best quarterback in the NFL. And where does he end up after injury? Probably in a similar spot. I just don't know. He doesn't elevate this offense, which is fine. I mean, he's only been in his 2nd season. That I'm not necessarily expecting him to, and the weapons around him aren't great either. I mean, they did bring in Jalen Waddle, so that maybe will help a little bit, but their weapons aren't great either. They do have a really good offensive head coach. He just doesn't elevate this system to me, and yes, their defense is incredible. Their defense is going to be insane. Their defense is the reason they won 14 games last year. Their defense is the reason that I've got them winning 11 games this year, which, for what it's worth, is still a pretty successful season, except for the fact that you would look at the final result of them not making the playoffs. Obviously, that's not. But I just have more question mark concerns about this team than the other two. And I would like to preface this really by saying where I find my biggest difference is that when you look at the top three teams in this division, they all have an incredible head coach, and they all, at least recently of track record, have really great defenses. And I get that the Chiefs have lost some pieces. We'll get there in a second. But they do still have Steve Spagnuolo, who's probably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL, and he's very long tenured. He's been there a long time. Him and Andy Reid work great together. They complement each other. And then third would be the quarterback play is really, really good in this division. And for quarterback play, again, there could be some injury lingering stuff with Pat, I guess, but it's Pat, it's Herbert, and then if you've got Pat here, Herbert here, Bo Nix is not on the screen anymore. And that's really where the line drew to me. And yes, of the three teams, the Broncos do have the best defense. But if they have the number 2 or 3 defense in the league, and then the Chargers have the 7th best defense in the league, and the Chiefs have the 10th best defense in the league, I don't think that's that big of a difference, considering that the Chiefs and Chargers are going to have the 2nd and 4th or 5th best quarterback in the league, and the Broncos are going to be at 17, 18, 19 in that regard. So,
before I get into my third place team, which you already know who it is, but
obviously I know who it is.
But before I get into that, I think there's an important concept that you struggle with when we have these conversations sometimes, which is two things can be true, right? Meaning, in this case, Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it, and I don't think he's washed, right? So this is not about him in the sense of that. Andy Reid is one of the best that ever do it, and I don't think he's washed, right? But let's take a step back a couple of years, and when I first said this Kansas City team is not going to be a dynasty like the Patriots were because they don't run their organization that way. I think
I'm not saying they're going to be.
No, I know that. I'm not saying there's a huge difference in coaching because I don't believe that there is. I think in fact in some ways I'd rather have Andy Reid in the coaching spot than Bill Belichick. As you know, I'm not a huge Belichick fan. I give credit where credit's due. He was part of 6 Super Bowls, and he was a big part of that defensively for sure. I think those things can be true, but the organization doesn't run themselves like the Patriots did, right? And so because of that, long-term success was never in the cards. And so this is an aging roster.
You say like they don't already have 3 and have been to 5. Like that's not long-term success to the likes that nobody has ever seen other than
again,
the
two
Patriots,
things can be true.
Cowboys, and Niners.
You can have an elite run and still be done, right? And so my point is this. This is an aging roster. The defense isn't what it was even 2 years ago. Patrick Mahomes, I think, could still be as good. However, I do think it's important to point out it has been 2 years since we've seen an elite Patrick Mahomes. We've seen the elite moments out of Patrick Mahomes. The Super Bowl year 2 years ago, they went because of the defense. Remember all those games they won at the end because of their defense? Like they were the.
I mean, he still made more plays late than anybody in the league, and he made plays that a lot of guys can't make.
But through the course of the game, he wasn't. It was like Caleb Williams.
Okay,
right?
But it wasn't like Caleb Williams because he's still the best quarterback in the NFL.
Can you stop? I let you talk. Let me talk. Right. What I am telling you is go back and those seasons, the last 2 seasons were not great for him. They won games, but a lot of it was the defense in Spagnuolo, like you're speaking of, Chris Jones. Like it was that. They weren't scoring a bunch of points. The games were all close. It took them last-second heroics to beat terrible Raiders teams even, right? Like it just wasn't pretty. And they've done nothing this offseason that says that's going to be better. They got a little better. They got better at running back. That's about it.
Okay. So let
me finish.
Okay, but you're just wrong.
I didn't interrupt. I'm not wrong. The defense is definitely not better. The offense may have gotten a piece or two here. You signed an aging tight end, which the Patriots never would have done. And I get it's not a dangerous contract, but it doesn't change the fact that that's what you're going to have on your roster. So I'm just saying that I would give you your Denver prediction if this was 3 years ago, but it's not. This is not the Kansas City roster of 3 years ago. This isn't the Kansas City team. Yes, you still have Mahomes, and I think he's probably going to have a really good year, right? I don't doubt that. Two things can be true, but I don't think this team is ready to compete anymore. Your roster has gotten old, and you haven't done much to correct it. Yes, you brought in a piece or two here or there, and maybe it's enough. Maybe I'm wrong, right? I also look at it from the sense that the Broncos, it's another year within the Sean Payton system. It's another year with a quarterback that he likes, and he's been pretty successful when he has a quarterback that he likes in his career. And they've got the defensive piece figured out, which is also something he had in that one Super Bowl run with the Saints. They had a really good defense too, as well, and you also had elite Drew Brees for sure, right? So,
which you don't have now.
So here's what I'm saying. I looked at this last year and I predicted before the season, this wasn't something I said midseason, the Chiefs were not going to be a playoff team last year. I don't see what they've done to become one this year.
Can I answer that question?
Can I finish? In a division where you have two really good up-and-coming teams, both have really good defense. One has elite defense. One has an elite quarterback, right, that for the most part has not been injury-prone. He's had some minor nagging injuries last year, but nothing major. Now, do I trust him once he gets to playoff time? I don't know yet. But I do know that the Broncos made the AFC Championship game last year and probably win that if Bo Nix doesn't get hurt.
It's possible. I mean, the elements were also horrendous in that game. But
no, I know. But look at the way that the quarterback played that went in and big turnovers that cost him the game.
But my point is that it wouldn't have been all that much better even with him because the elements were horrendous. So
doesn't matter. If you just don't turn those, if you don't have those that one turnover, really, you win the game.
I mean, possibly, but my point being is that it's not like, I mean, Bo Nix is from Alabama and then played the rest of his college football at Oregon. It's not like he is.
The point is they didn't need him to do much. They just needed him not to make that one boneheaded play.
Yeah, and it's possible that he might not have, and it's also possible that he might have anyways. Here's what I'm going to tell you, though. To answer your Chiefs argument, what I will say is that their secondary did get worse. Obviously, they lost like 3 or 4 major pieces. Their secondary got worse. However, in that same vein, they did also draft Diamondor Lenore out of LSU in the top 10. And that is a very good corner prospect, and you don't know. Like, you never know how that plays out. Especially in his rookie season, it might not be phenomenal. I'm not trying to sit here and say he's going to go save their entire secondary. Their secondary is probably going to struggle. However, you do still have Spagnuolo, right? And your entire front seven is returning, right? Like Leo Chanel in the linebacking core, George Karlaftis on the edge, Chris Jones still, yes, he is aging, but other than him and Travis Kelce, there's not really aging players on this roster. I get Patrick Mahomes, technically speaking, is 30 at this point, but he's 30 in a league where you see guys consistently, even with injuries, play great until 38, 39, 40. Look at literally Matthew Stafford. He came into the year with a nagging back injury last year and then won MVP. So, and I'm not trying to say that that's what Patrick Mahomes is going to do. Unless
he could. I'm not saying he won't. I just think the team overall
here's the thing that really excites me
in the division.
Right. Here's what excites me the most about the Chiefs' season this year, or at least their potential, is that I do believe they have lost a step defensively a little bit. But I do also believe, and it's not the 2022 offense. It's not. Right. But I do also believe that this is the best offense, at least on paper, that they've brought into a season since then. They lost Tyreek Hill and just kind of said, like, oh, we have Patrick Mahomes, so we don't really have to address it. And finally, they've addressed it. They've gotten Xavier Worthy. They've gotten Rashee Rice, and they're both going to be healthy going into the season and not suspended for the first time, right? And then they've literally never gotten him running back help. I mean, his first year playing was like when Kareem Hunt was pretty good before he decided he wanted to go do whatever he wanted to do and get himself cut.
You mean like his 2 receivers?
What?
You mean the character issues like the 2 receivers have?
No, one of the receivers does, but to this point, he has kept himself out of any issues this summer. Anyways, Kareem Hunt was the only running back that was decent for him, and he even then wasn't great. Like when he came back, he has not been very good. Kenneth Walker, to that point, is far and away the best running back that Patrick Mahomes has ever played with, and it's not close. So that has major potential to be really, really big, especially because the biggest part of Kenneth Walker's game is that he has the ability to break off big runs to, get to the second level and use his speed. And you can't load the box against Patrick Mahomes, no matter what you may want to think about him. And I'm not saying that you're saying anything necessarily negatively. I'm just saying you can't load the box against Patrick Mahomes. This is going to also be, for argument's sake, the easiest time since he's gotten into the NFL that Kenneth Walker has had as well. I mean, especially when you talk about scheme for Andy Reid and then offensive line and stuff. Listen, I'm not saying it necessarily that it's going to end up phenomenally, but I do think that one thing that turns out differently this year, for good or for bad, is that over the last several years, because they hadn't really addressed offensive issues on paper, and because their defense was so good, they did play a very conservative brand of football. They were up near the top of the league in terms of percentage of plays as runs, even with Patrick Mahomes on their roster. They played very conservatively. I don't think they're going to have the ability to do that this year because their defense did lose a step. But I think that they can make it up on the other end of the ball. I do. I mean, I have the faith that that'll happen.
So, couple of things. First of all, if I'm Denver and I'm the Chargers, I don't have to load the box. I can still get pressure.
Okay, but again, hold on. I just want to make one point. Relatively speaking, I do kind of agree with you. Definitely with Denver. The Chargers, it's okay. But I think that's also still only 4 games. And I do have the Chiefs losing 2 of them, right? There's still another 13 games on their schedule.
I understand that. The other thing that I think is important, because I want to tie something into something you have said before, I think on this podcast, if not certainly to me, in regards to Kenneth Walker. I like the guy. I think it's huge.
Okay.
I think it's a loss for them. But you've always said he's an injury-prone player at 30, and now he's going to save the Chiefs.
Okay, he's not even remotely close to 30. He's like 26. If that.
Either way, you said that there's no reality where the Seahawks should sign him, but now he's the savior of the Chiefs.
No, I said he wasn't. He's only 25, by the way. I said he wasn't worth that contract, and for what it's worth, I do still believe that to be true. But I think that if there were a team that it was going to be worth it for, it is the Chiefs, because he has the ability to, for what it's worth, in his career, he has only missed 10 games in the 4 years that he's been in the league, and really the only one that he had actual injury concerns was not last year, but the year prior. He played 11 games, and then this last year played 17.
The other thing,
I don't think he has really injury concerns. I just don't think he's honestly like an elite running back. I think that he had a great finish to last season.
But you're just saying
hold on. No, I didn't. Hold on. Let me talk. What I'm telling you is that I don't think he's an elite running back, and I don't think he's worth necessarily the money that he got paid. I really don't. I think that if you ask me to rank running backs right now, he would fall somewhere in the 7 to 10, maybe even bordering on 11 or 12 range. That's where I would end up having him. I'd have to count it out, but that's where I'd end up having him. So I don't necessarily think he's worth that contract, and I don't think he's an elite running back. But I think whenever you pair him alongside the threat of Patrick Mahomes, and on top of that, the skill set that he has, I do think pairs very well alongside Patrick Mahomes, because his biggest strength is the fact that he can break off larger runs. He can break off big plays. I do think that is going to be very valuable for this Chiefs offense, the threat of it, at least. And again, I don't think the contract that he has signed is worth it for basically any other team, and I'm not even convinced it's necessarily worth it for the Chiefs, but it has a higher chance to be worth it for them than it would for anybody else.
The other thing, and I think this is just important to point out, Xavier Worthy and Rice are not Tyreek Hill. They're fast.
I didn't say they were.
Well, you said they have never addressed that issue until now. First of all, those guys have both been on this roster.
Okay, but we haven't seen it realized because one of them at any given point has been hurt and or suspended. So, not that they hadn't addressed it until now, but we're finally seeing what they did to address it going to be on the field as a product. And no,
but neither
obviously
is Tyreek Hill.
No, neither of them is Tyreek Hill, but both of them at any given point were better than Tyreek Hill's number 2. So I mean, and I do believe that. I mean, like Tyreek Hill never had a number 2. I mean,
in Miami, you had Jalen Waddle, but
I meant in Kansas City. I'm not talking
and
about.
Let's not forget Denver got Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's decent. I don't think he's a true number 1. I think he's a pretty good number 2. I don't think that him or Cortland Sutton, either of them, are true number 1. So I think that they are in a better spot receiving core wise than they were last year. I do believe that, but I don't think that they're some incredible receiving core now.
All right, who do you have in second?
What was your record of the Chiefs?
6-11.
I think that's crazy. I mean, so just to play devil's advocate, what are the 6 games you have them winning?
How have we not been playing devil's advocate this whole time? I think you need to relook at what that definition is. Okay.
Or fine, just for funds.
I have them beating the Raiders, the Jets, the Cardinals. I have them beating Monday night against the Patriots. I have beating San Francisco, and I am beating the Raiders again.
So, like, other than the Patriots, which you wouldn't even agree with this statement, and then the Niners, I guess, you've basically got them beating the scum of the league and nobody else. Like, you think that they're actually just genuinely.
No, I don't have them beating us in Week 3. Actually, that's one of our wins I have on our.
You have the Miami Dolphins beating Patrick Mahomes in a football game.
In Week 3, yes, that's true.
You don't have them beating the Las Vegas Raiders.
If it were later in the season, I probably would have them winning the Chiefs winning that game. But it's early, and it's in Miami, which does matter in September. It does matter in September.
Not when you can't field a competent football team.
Huh?
Not when you can't field a competent football team. Which we have not done.
Look, I don't have them as a competent football team, but there are some variables that are still unknown. So we'll see.
Oh, man.
If it wasn't, to be clear, if it wasn't September, I would not have them losing that game. But it's September. In Miami, that's a tough spot.
I guess.
You've been to a game in September in Miami. It's nasty.
Yeah.
That's why we should get all of our division games. If we have to play in Buffalo, New York, and New England in December, they should have to play us in September.
So the Broncos that I had at 11-6, barely missing the playoffs, which I did feel really genuinely bad for. The 6 games I had them losing. I think I actually had them sweep. No, I did not have them sweeping the Chiefs. But the 6 games I had them losing. The Rams in Week 3, the Chargers at home in Week 5, the Chiefs in Week 8, the okay, I'll shut up. The Steelers in Week 12 for fun.
What now?
The Steelers in Week 12, I guess, for fun.
You have them beating the Broncos?
I did. I forgot about that.
That's disrespectful.
You just said the Chiefs were going to lose to the Dolphins.
In Week 3 in Miami, yes. If it were Week 5 in Kansas City, I wouldn't have.
Okay. I do have the Broncos losing in Week 14 to the Jets.
That's ridiculous.
You're right. It's probably ridiculous. And then the Patriots in Week 17. So I guess my point is, if I took my head out of my butt a little bit and then picked the Broncos over the Steelers and the Jets, they'd go 13-4 and still wouldn't win the division, but they'd definitely be a playoff team at
I
that
mean, that only
point.
makes you one game off of where I put Broncos.
And then they would make the playoffs and the Patriots wouldn't, even though the Patriots are 12-5. Then the Patriots wouldn't make the playoffs. So in fairness, I'm not saying anything overly negatively. I think that there is a very realistic chance even then that the Broncos are still a playoff team, even if they finish third in the division, right? I only have them one game out right now, and I have them with a couple weird losses late, which probably don't come to fruition, right? But that being said, ultimately that's what I did. And I do feel bad for that. But we can move to our second place teams.
Okay, I'll go first on this one then, I guess.
Okay.
I have the Chargers at 2 at 13-4.
Okay, you gave them a little bit more respect even than I expected you
Look,
to.
I think their defense is going to be better than it was last year. I know their offense is going to be better because you're going to have you got the offensive line getting back to full strength. They set out most of last year, so this is not like a lingering injury coming in or like it happened at the end of the season for the most part, right? This happened around early to mid for two of them. So
No, neither of them made it into the season.
okay, yeah. So they've had a whole year off, so I feel like they'll be ready to go. I think one of the lesser talked about additions to that team, if you're not a Dolphins fan, is Mike McDaniels as offensive
I think
coordinator.
everybody's talking about
I
it,
mean,
but
everybody
but
has
I
talked about it, but they don't continue to. I don't know that everybody gives it the credit that it's going to be due. McDaniels is genius at the run game. No one unless you're a Dolphins fan, you don't really see it that way. You look at the high flying passing stuff that you've seen, but that's all predicated on a running game that's legit. I think he's going to bring a running game that we haven't necessarily seen Herbert have, except for in short spurts in his career. I think the offensive line is going to be elite. I think the defense got better. I think, obviously, my respect for Harbaugh. He just wins wherever he goes. So I have them at 2 in the division, but, I mean, they're one game out of first, and they have the same divisional record. I have them splitting with the Broncos in the regular season. They're both 5-1 in division because I have the Broncos at 14-3, obviously, at that point. But I just think you can look at every aspect of this team. It got better. It got better at coaching. It just got better across the board, and you've got an elite talent at quarterback, obviously. I still rank him as the second best quarterback in the division. Obviously, I still put Mahomes 1, right? Like I said, two things can be true. You can have a great quarterback and the team still be on a decline, which is what I see. But it's less about their decline. There's some decline. It's more about the elevation of the other two, right? And I think look, there's a lot to love about the Chargers. I wouldn't be shocked if they could pull off the win of the division.
Okay, so I think that's completely fair. I do like the points you made. Obviously, they're going to get Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt back to all-pro tackles. And then they made some other moves to the interior of their offensive line as well. And then everybody got hurt last year on their offense. Like they lost like 3 running backs throughout the year. Who knows if Najee Harris is going to exist, but you'll definitely get Omarion Hampton back. And he'll be your real number one. And kind of like you said, they added Mike McDaniel, which I think for Omarion Hampton's development is genuinely massive. And if you give Justin Herbert a real running game and a real coaching staff for the first time in his career, I mean, he had a real coaching staff the last couple of years, but like it's been elevated now. I think that the world is his oyster. The limits are endless. I am genuinely giddy and very excited to watch the Chargers play football this season. I think it could be something special. I really do. To that point, we're not to that point right now yet. We'll have an episode where we talk about it. But to that point, I genuinely believe that the winning quarterback of this division could end up with the MVP award. Not if it's Bo Nix, but if it's one of the other two. And so to that point, I do have in second place in the division at 13-4 the Kansas City Chiefs, and then winning it at 14-3. So same record that you have your winner at, the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm very, very high on them at 14-3.
I mean, I am too. I think, like I said, I think there's not a side of the ball they don't get better on. I think the coaching on offense is going to make a big difference. And I said as soon as they signed Harbaugh, like, he just wins everywhere he goes. He got Colin Kaepernick to a Super Bowl, right? And Colin Kaepernick is not Justin Herbert, right?
Yeah.
So I think he just wins everywhere he goes. He brought Michigan
And
back. He
for what it's worth,
he just does.
yeah, and for what it's worth, I will give flowers and give credit where it's due. Whenever the Chargers added Harbaugh, his first season, before the season, Dad was predicting them to be a playoff team, and I said, nah, their roster's just not there. It's just not good. And I was right. Their roster was not good, but so were you. He elevated them, and they were a playoff team, and more specifically, Justin Herbert also elevated them with actually finally having a competent quarterback, a competent coach, and it wasn't Brandon Staley. Gross. And they were really, really good. And they haven't missed the playoffs under the Harbaugh tenure so far, and they're not going to start this year. I don't think they're a really, really good team. And I think that now we are to the point where Justin Herbert is in the best situation he has ever been in, because I think other than Josh Allen in the NFL over the last half decade plus, there hasn't been a quarterback in the NFL that has been asked to do more with less and succeeded at it than Justin Herbert. And I get we can talk about the playoffs and we can get there, but if you look at the numbers he's put up in the regular season wins that he's put up in the last several years, with the extreme lack of talent for the most part, other than pretty consistently Keenan Allen for the most part, other than that, like, it's been very hit or miss.
And I will say,
like,
if there's...
he has had subpar offensive lines for a good amount of that as well, and I'm very excited for him that he's going to get both of his tackles back. He's going to have Hampton and Mike McDaniel.
I will say, though, if there's a hole, I'm not 100% sold on the receiving core.
No, I absolutely agreed, but I do think that
however,
the difference in that
McDaniels
is, yeah,
can help work with that.
I think the difference is made up with the talent of Justin Herbert and the scheme of Mike McDaniel. I do agree that Ladd McConkey is your true number one. Looked pretty promising in his rookie season, but it's not going to be an elite number one in the NFL. But he's a pretty good receiver. Keenan Allen, I believe, to this point is still a free agent, but it is possible that they bring him back, I guess. I don't know on that. But I think that is the weakness to their team. I think they'll figure it out. And Justin Herbert just got engaged, so, personal motivation, I guess. I think this season could be really, really fun, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say right now, Justin Herbert's my MVP, like right now. Like, if I was picking a player to win the MVP award, it's him.
I don't hate it. I think he could put up massive numbers for sure. They're definitely a playoff team, obviously. So I think you could be right. I think when we talk about another division, I'll kind of have a little bit of a dark horse. I don't expect it to happen, but I'll just leave that teaser hanging there. But no, I agree. He's got to be one of the front runners going into the season. And in fairness, and again, respecting Mike McDaniels, he's one of the reasons.
I want to see.
Just look what he did with the Tua season when he had everybody healthy.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, that's kind of the meme that everybody's been playing off this year, but also kind of fair. Fair. Is that it's like Mike McDaniel is so good at his job offensively that they had people literally arguing between Tua and Herbert.
Look,
that should never have been an argument.
As a Dolphins fan, I was never doing that, and I love Tua. his injury concerns detract from him way too much.
Yeah.
He was never worth the money we paid him.
No, but
now I look back and I just wonder what could have been, given that we could have drafted Herbert instead of him. But here we are.
I am curious
starting over again.
I do only have the Chargers losing 3 games, and I know you have them losing 4.
Yeah.
But I also know that at least 2 of the 3 I have them losing, you do not have them losing. So I am curious what games you have them losing.
The Chargers?
Yeah. I mean, I think I could probably tell you what the 4 are.
I mean, I have them losing to Seattle in week 4.
Okay.
And it's in Seattle. I don't think that's a stretch.
No.
I have them losing to the Rams in week 8. I have them losing to Tampa in 13. And I'm losing to the Broncos in 18.
Man, the Tampa affinity.
I mean, Tampa, you could debate Tampa. I don't think those others are crazy.
Yeah, but that Tampa game is the difference between being the 5 seed and playing in the first round and being the 1 seed having home field throughout and not playing in the first round. So it's a massive game. However, that being said, my 3 games, I have them losing. I do also have them losing week 18 to the Broncos in Denver. The other 2 games I have them losing, so it's actually kind of ironic. I have them with the 3rd best in-division record in the AFC West. I've got them getting swept by the Chiefs right now. So their 3 losses are Chiefs twice and then the Broncos in Denver. So they go 3-3 in division and do not lose a game outside of division, according to me.
So you have them beating the Seahawks. You have them beating the Rams, who I think we probably both almost largely agree that that's the best team in football. And you have them sweep. Yeah, I definitely disagree with how you got there, but we'll see.
I mean,
I could see how you could debate the Tampa one, but I don't think Seattle's
the Tampa
a
one.
stretch.
I don't even think that's a debate.
I don't think Seattle's a stretch.
I don't think them losing to the Seahawks in Seattle is a stretch, but I think that if they are
the Rams
truly
game
going
is in LA, and I mean obviously it's in LA because they both play at the same place, but that's the Rams stadium,
right? But it's also coming off of a bye. It's Harbaugh off of a bye, so I think that's
no. I mean I get that, but you're also playing arguably the best head coach in football.
I think he is.
Behind maybe only Andy Reid.
I mean, I would tend to lean Sean McVay. But
I mean, he's just younger, but fair enough.
Yeah.
He definitely won a Super Bowl way earlier in his career than Andy Reid did.
I would lean McVay, and I think that they are the best team in football. We'll get there eventually, but I do think that they are the best team in football. Spoiler alert, I don't have them losing too often. But the Chargers is one of them. Here's the thing, with the Seahawks game, yes, they could lose that game in Seattle. I just think that if they are going to be the caliber of team that I think they're going to be, I think that's a massive game early, and I think that they could win it, just like I also have them going to Buffalo and winning that game the week before. Yeah, I have them winning the game against the Chargers. That's going to be a really tough game, but it's coming off of a bye for them. Just like I also have them going to Baltimore on Monday Night Football and winning that game. No longer the Harbaugh Bowl. And so I think that there are...
And I only have Denver losing to the Rams. I have them losing to the Chargers once.
Okay.
And I have them losing to Seattle. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. You said the Rams, Chargers, and Seahawks?
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, ultimately, like I said, I actually have them beating the Seahawks because that game's in Denver.
But it's early in the season. It's not like it's going to be cold or anything.
No, but just because it's at Mile High, I mean, I think that's an advantage enough in itself with the
Trust me,
fans and the elevation. And
I have always not given credit to the impact of the elevation. But I will tell you now that I live in 5,200 feet and I run every day, dude, it took me a
yeah,
long time to acclimate. Now, when I come back here to Oklahoma and run, I take a minute off my time immediately.
yeah.
Like it's crazy.
I will say, you said you've got them losing to the Rams, Seahawks, and Chargers once. I do have them
Mhm.
losing to the Rams and Chargers once. I have them beating the Seahawks, but then I've just got them losing to the Chiefs, which I think is reasonable once. And then I did pick them in to lose in a couple stupid games, which I think it's like reasonable to call me on if you want to call me on that. Um,
I don't have to. You just called yourself out. So
Sure,
it's fine.
and I think that's fair, but I do also think that sometimes stuff happens, and so you lose a game you're not supposed to, whatever. Especially with a still pretty young in terms of NFL standard, in terms of NFL time played quarterback.
But it's
Um,
another year under an elite offensive coach
yeah,
and an elite defense to back you up.
and then I've got them losing to the Patriots, and so I think that like most of those games are fairly reasonable. Again, according to the framework I laid out for them, all it takes, is for them to beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh or the Jets in New York, and they'll be a playoff team. So it's not like I'm disrespecting them. I just happened to do
Right.
it. And kind of to your point, I wasn't really looking at it as I was going through it until the end. I didn't realize till the end that when I picked those teams to beat them, that was the reason that they missed the playoffs. Um, and so if I had been looking at it like specifically, being like, oh, all they need to do is beat the Jets to make the playoffs, I probably would have done that.
Now, I think part of it
However,
is the schedule for that division too. For such an elite division, the schedule isn't overly crazy. Like 10 of the Broncos wins in my scheduling is against losing teams. 10 of them.
um,
And I have them
so
going 4-3 against winning teams.
what's their strength of schedule according to you?
0.441.
Okay, so see, there's where we really differ, and this is the crazy part because this really shows how genuinely high I am on this division, including Denver. For me, the Broncos' strength of schedule is a .526.
But we've already seen that part of that is you giving like way more wins to the Jets in their season and things like that. Like,
No, not way more. They have 6.
well, but I mean that improves
No,
the
no. The actual difference for the Broncos compared to you is the record of the Chiefs and the record of the Patriots, because both of those you have as 6-win teams, and I have one of them as a 12-win and one of them as a 13-win team. So like those are massive differences, obviously. Um, it's not the 3 extra games I gave to the Jets, but granted, like for example, I think that the numbers would probably be much closer for the Chiefs. What's your strength of schedule for the Chiefs this season?
I mean, it's not going to be far different than that. I mean, a little bit better because they're playing two good teams. There, I have them at point 533.
That's the literal same number that I have them at.
Yep.
Exact same. And then the Chargers.
0.505.
So the Chargers I have, and again, the biggest difference there is going to be the Chiefs and the Patriots. But I have them at a .536. So like collectively, this is far and away the toughest division of strength of schedule. Not one of them for me is under a 5, right? And when you look at the Raiders, which obviously would have the hardest strength of schedule in the entire league because all 3 of the other teams in their division, so 6 games, is against winning opponents, and then they play the NFC West, which I have 3 teams above 500, and the AFC East that I have 2 teams above 500, right?
I have an NFC team that strength of schedule is stupid. Or I have
But
an NFC division where it's crazy.
right.
So.
But the Raiders' strength of schedule is a .564 for me. So like brutal schedule, brutal schedule.
I mean, I have them at a 4.64, but
So there's the difference for us, right? Like,
yeah,
again, 2 Chiefs games that for you are as a 6-win team, for me is an 11, or sorry, a 13. The Raiders game, or sorry, the Patriots game, that's gonna be for you a 6-win team, for me a 12, right? So like, there's the difference. But the strength of schedule for me in the AFC West is absolutely absurd. And I think that on paper we can both kind of get behind that argument, even if you still don't believe in the long-term potential turnout of the Chiefs and the Patriots this season. I think that ultimately we do understand what a gauntlet this division is going to be this year for all of these teams involved, and it is not going to be an easy fight to win no matter who comes out on top. I am very excited to watch it.
There
very
is
intrigued.
a world there's a world, and I'm not predicting this, but there is a world where somehow the Raiders sneak another 4 wins in there.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not predicting it. Obviously, I'm predicting a 4-win season, but there's a world where
The Raiders.
Yeah, I'm saying there's a world where they squeak another.
I thought you were saying
No, there's a world where the
Chiefs.
Raiders could squeak 4 wins out. 4 more wins. It still gives them a losing record, and they're not a playoff team, so I don't think it's a crazy statement.
Are you saying that you think there is
I mean,
a potential chance that they could have a better record than the Chiefs this season?
No, I'm not predicting it. I don't think that's true. I'm just saying.
No, are you saying that there's a chance?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't
As long as we're not like 6-11 is bad enough. But
I think if that were to occur, something catastrophic happened to the Chiefs more than happened good for the Raiders.
yeah,
Like Mahomes goes down in week 1, and it's over. Right, like, but
that would be
I
as
don't
sad.
think
That would be almost as sad as the Connor thing, like genuinely.
First, the Connor thing wasn't sad.
It was.
2,
It was very sad.
that's not fair to somebody that actually has a moral compass and a character in Patrick Mahomes to compare him to a guy like that being sad.
Yeah,
but-
I mean, I assume Patrick Mahomes has a moral compass. Everybody around.
I mean,
him
everything
seems
I've
not
seen,
to.
he seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
I know Conor McGregor is not. So
Nobody
I don't
around
find that
him.
sad.
Yeah, nobody around him has a moral compass, but his dad, his brother, his receivers, his running backs, his wife's iffy. But Patrick Mahomes, for all intents and purposes, seems like a pretty solid dude. So
That's my point. So first, the other thing too is I certainly wouldn't be saddened for their fans or anything. I mean, you've gotten a ton of success lately.
yeah, no. I just meant for
good
the
for
league
you.
as a whole, like just for
Yeah,
good
no,
football
obviously
watching.
the league in general, and I'll say this in general terms. In general, the league is better when the best quarterbacks are playing. The league's better when all the best players are playing.
Right.
And playing at high levels, right? You don't want a bunch of crap out there.
So I think we are in similar boats on this one topic. We just end up in different places on whether or not it's actually going to happen. But based on the conversation that we've had today, I think that this would be a fair assessment to make. If the Chiefs, and I know you're not going to think it's going to happen, you don't think there's any chance it's going to happen, whatever. If the Chiefs were to win this division, would it have to be on the back of an MVP caliber season from Patrick Mahomes?
Yes.
I agree. I just think that he's going to have one. I don't think he's going to win it necessarily, although he could. But I do believe he's going to have an MVP
and I
caliber
think
season.
overall better offenses in this division than theirs. It doesn't mean Patrick Mahomes not
Obviously,
great. I'm saying
obviously
the
really
offense as a
good
whole.
defenses. Obviously, really good defenses. I'm not convinced of the offense because I think that all of these offenses have limitations currently. other than the Chargers. I think that the Chargers' only theoretical limitation would be the receiver room, but I don't think that's going to actually be an issue. They're just too good. But I think the other offenses have limitations, right? Like the Broncos' current limitation is that it's a solid receiving core with a okay quarterback, and so it's really schematic based, which has worked out for them so far. But still, and then with the Chiefs, it's like, okay, well, they have Patrick Mahomes in the scheme, but like, do they have anything else? Is it going to step up? And I don't know, but I'm predicting it to. But it'll be fun to watch. So very excited for them. So, all right, I think that's all we got. So the AFC is officially done. We still have 3 NFC divisions to go through. So we're gonna
a bit to get to one or two of them.
I know, so am I. I was really excited to talk about the AFC West this week, but also there are a couple other divisions that I really wanted to get to. Honestly, all of them, because I think we're going to differ a good amount on a lot of things in the NFC that's left. Yeah. I mean, we already, our most differentiation so far in this series has been in the NFC East, and I don't think it's going to change with the other NFC divisions. I think that it's going to be very fun when we get there. So,
yeah, for sure.
All right. I want to start off with the Kevin Durant drama. I know you said that before we hopped on, you hadn't really kept up with it, so y'all are going to get kind of a live reaction from Dad because he didn't really know. It's hilarious, honestly, and it's just completely Kevin Durant fashion. It's just Kevin Durant being Kevin Durant. It's nothing new, nothing surprising. But last week, or maybe it was early this week, he said, and I quote, Joel, MVP recently. Jaylen Brown, recent finals MVP. Tyrese Maxey, an all-star the last 3 years. We all know what Bron does. Klay Thompson, never an MVP candidate in nothing. 22 points per game. Draymond, 14 points per game, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Steph an MVP just like Joel was. I don't get how the Warriors team was better on paper. And he's comparing LeBron joining the Sixers to him joining the Warriors, and basically saying he doesn't understand how people would look at those two teams and think that Warriors team on paper was better than this Sixers team. And my initial reaction to that is just like,
so
okay,
wait a minute,
it's
you're
Kevin
saying
Durant.
he said that he's saying he doesn't see how on paper that people are saying that Warriors team is as good as the 76ers. Okay.
To me, what it is that he is still, a decade later, not comfortable in the decision he made with himself, so he has to continue to justify it to other people. And at this point, everybody's dropped it. There's no emotion left in it. A lot of people still say, yeah, it was a weak move, but there's no emotion left in it. Nobody really cares. But he's still here bringing it up, trying to justify what he did a decade ago. And he's like, that team's better than the team I joined for sure. Like, okay, well, shut up. You created one of, if not the greatest teams on paper in the history of the sport. And it's less even about that, which, first of all, if you just take paper for paper, I think that that Warriors team was a better team, right? But it's less about that and more about the fact that that's a team that went 73-9 the year before and beat you in the playoffs, and you blew a 3-1 lead to them. And then you joined them. This was already a championship-level roster. The Sixers haven't made it out of the second round, since Allen Iverson, right? So this is not the same thing. And yes, this Sixers team, especially on paper, is very good if you're not taking into account injuries, right? But these are levels, right? And you bring up Draymond, 14, 7, and 6. Like, that's Draymond's impact. Like, he's not a defensive player of the year caliber player. Like, he's not one of the greatest defensive players, definitely of this generation, but in the history of the sport. And you want to act like this wasn't an elite system just designed to basically be foolproof if y'all are healthy, right? Like, this is not the same thing, right? The Sixers system right now is going to be far from foolproof. It can work. Don't get me wrong, it can, but it's far from foolproof. The Warriors were constructed to be a team, quite successfully that if there was health, nothing can stop them. And nothing did stop them other than health. So,
okay, so let me take this from a few angles first. Okay? The first thing I would say is I don't know. I agree with you that he keeps bringing this up because he thinks it's still an issue for his legacy. Kevin Durant's legacy is already cemented. He's going to go down one of the greatest players to ever play this game, regardless of who he joined. You know my opinion on those Warriors teams. If they don't add him, they don't have 4 championships. They have 2.
I mean,
and maybe they don't have 2 because that team doesn't stay together. I know you do, but the data says opposite. And let's not forget, they definitely don't have 4. You could argue maybe they could still get 3, but Steph missed 11 games in that one championship run with Durant. Without Durant, they don't get there.
Yeah. So no, for sure. I mean, that's definitely possible, for sure.
So I think that was an all-time great team. But I think it depends, and I think he's looking at it a little differently, and I think I actually see where he's coming from. Okay? So follow me here. I don't think anybody questions whether that Warriors team was one of the best teams in NBA history because it was. Right? It just was. The 73-9, not as impactful because they didn't win the title that year.
But not the same team.
Right. But it's not the 17-0 Patriots either. Like that 17-0 doesn't mean anything, right? Because they didn't do that. No one's going to question whether that was one of the best teams of all time because it just was. We know that, right? However, if you look at individual pieces, right? Legitimately on that team, there were 2 superstars, and the rest were elite level role players. Right? The upside, and I don't believe this is true, but I'm just saying this from a perspective of the upside of what this Philadelphia team could be if Joel stays healthy and if LeBron can channel LeBron from 10 years ago or 5 years ago, then this could be one of the most elite starting 5s we've ever seen in basketball, and that's not even controversial. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish my thought. Jaylen Brown is in his prime, right? Maxey is on the rise. Embiid, when he's healthy, is an elite player. You're bringing in LeBron, who is past his prime, right? But if somehow they channel all of that, this team, as a starting 5 at least, could be better than that Warriors team. That I agree with Kevin on that. Now, do I actually think that's going to come to fruition? Do I actually think that's a realistic stance? No, because Embiid's not going to be healthy. LeBron's not going to get 5 years younger, right? And I'm not as high on this team as most people is for those reasons, right? They're going to win 45, 50 games just with Maxey and Brown. But
here's the thing.
But hold on, let me make the last point here. That team was a great team. The individual pieces of the starting 5 were not necessarily to the level of the potential of the 76ers team. Individual pieces.
So I agree to that fundamentally, right? I do. That, right, Steph and KD are 2 better players than anybody that this current Sixers team has, right?
I agree.
However, Maxey and JB and I would say that Maxey, JB, Bron, Embiid, it's tough to quantify, but they're all at this point probably better players than Klay Thompson was, pure skill.
I would say when healthy, which is a big key.
Right. I don't know if I can give you at that point that they're all better players than Draymond just because of the insane defensive impact. But numbers wise, obviously, and then pure talent, I can make the argument that this team could be better. But the other part of it is even if they all come together, they're all their peak selves, not like prime LeBron, but peak of what he could be now, right? And all that's true. And so then, like, on paper, it doesn't even look like there's a question. There's still the aspect of it being a team, of it being a scheme, of it fitting.
Clear,
even if talent-wise, and it's still close, right? Even if talent-wise they have the edge over that Warriors team,
there's no way that, like, there was never going to be ever a more seamless fit ever in the history of anything ever than putting Kevin Durant on that Warriors team.
To be
Ever.
clear, to be clear, I think he's wrong because this isn't a healthy Embiid and a prime LeBron, right? And that does matter in this argument, right? So I disagree with Kevin. What I am trying to say though is I don't think it's as crazy controversial as everybody's making it out to be. I agree with you 100% that Warriors team was better than this team. I don't expect this team to accomplish much. There's no question, as a team, as a unit, as a coaching, all of that stuff I believe is better than what the 76ers team has. But if you take each individual position, specifically the other three, right, and say if they're healthy and perform at a high level, this starting five could be more accomplished. On paper, maybe. I don't see that happening because I don't think you're going to get a healthy Embiid or even close to a prime LeBron anymore. Because even when he's given, everybody likes to say the 28-8, and I'm not saying that's not impressive at 41. It is, but that also does not take into account his liability on defense these days, right? So it's not a full story just to say 28-8. He's obviously impactful on the offensive end. No one's going to question that. So I think in totality, the take is wrong, but I don't think it's crazy wrong.
I guess my point would be the most wrong of it would be the why behind it, like why even mention it in the first place. And obviously,
Here's why you mention it. Right?
I get it's
on.
his legacy and he's trying to whatever he wants.
There's only one reason he joins that Warriors team: to get a ring, and he thought he had a better chance to do it there than he did in OKC.
And it worked.
The only reason LeBron went there is he thought that's his best chance to get a ring. So the reasons are the same.
But it's still very different. LeBron has 4. Kevin Durant didn't have any at that point. Like, LeBron has 4 MVPs. Kevin Durant has 1. It's not the same conversation.
Look,
LeBron's 41. Kevin Durant did it in his prime. Like,
I am saying Kevin is wrong, right? And I don't think he needs to keep bringing it up. His legacy is already cemented. He is where he is in history. That's a done deal, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that changed that is it could get better if he was able to pull something off in Houston this year or something like that, which I don't see. But it could. That would raise the bar for sure.
Yeah. Especially with what we saw from them in the playoffs last year. If he took that team and won a ring.
Yeah. So, like, if they do better this year, or especially if they were to get it done, obviously that changes his legacy for the positive. Absolutely. He's not going to do anything to tarnish it any more than that he did. He's an all-time great player. Every
time he opens his mouth, I feel like he does slightly. But
yeah, maybe. But look, he's a top 10 player probably.
Only as a joke.
He's a top 10 player.
15 to 20, I would say.
15 to 20 is probably more realistic.
I would say Steph is borderline top 10.
Like, pure offensive efficiency, he's top 1 or 2.
Pure scoring efficiency. Not offense, but scoring, yes.
Right, because the only person we've seen close to him ever is now SGA in his efficiency.
I mean, like, so the short list of, like, best scorers of all time, right, is going to be, like, Larry, Mike, Steph, KD, Bron,
but
Shaq.
I'm putting
like,
KD in a different category. Efficiently scoring.
Again,
right? I'm not saying
that's what I was saying.
Of all the time, but KD.
I kind of am.
Well, I'm not saying he's not. What I am saying is, like, he doesn't have to have an elite rebounder around him to be successful because he's so efficient, right?
Right.
So anyway, my point being that
only one of the guys I just listed did, by the way.
Right.
Have to have an elite rebounder.
Didn't have to have one. He had one for the second half of his career, not the first half. He had a really good one. Horace Grant was a really good one.
Really, really good. I mean, he's not the best of all time, but really, really good.
Of all time, right?
Right.
So
sure.
So look, what I'm saying is, I disagree with him, right? For all the reasons I outlined. I also don't understand why he keeps trying to do it. No one cares about this anymore. Your legacy is cemented. All you can do now is make it better with your play, right?
Yeah.
But you can't make it worse. He is a ring. And again, in my opinion, the Warriors have 2 at best, maybe just 1 because the team falls apart if they don't get those middle 2, maybe, right? And so, but what I am saying is, even though I disagree with him, I don't think it's crazy controversial either. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I disagree with him.
So,
especially because I think that this Philly thing is going to be a colossal failure.
Well, and so here's what I'll say. I think that ultimately is the biggest difference. Even if you want to argue talent potential, even if you want to say that you think it will fit seamlessly, and you will think that they're going to go without a hitch, just like the Warriors did, right? Which is not going to happen. But even if you think it was, the biggest difference to me is inevitability. First of all, going into the season before, when the Warriors went 73-9, it seemed, and the Thunder were one game away. Right, but it seemed highly, highly unlikely that the finals matchup wasn't going to be a repeat of the one before, Warriors-Cavs, right? And it did end up being that.
Yep.
And then you put Kevin Durant on the Warriors, and it was literally inevitable. The world has to collapse for the next championship not to be Warriors-Cavs, and the next two were, and the Warriors made the next 3 straight. So we're not even close to that point with the Sixers. We're not even saying they're the favorites.
I would argue.
So
I don't think they're a
that's
top 8 team in the league.
It gets close, but I would say that, I mean, on paper they are, but whenever you talk about like the result
on paper,
of the
their
season,
starting 5 is yes.
I think on paper, I think their starting 5 is enough to make them on paper a top 8 team in the league. Yes, as a team, yes, I do believe that. But when you start talking final result of the season, do they make that top 8? It gets tough because basically that means you made the second round.
We talked about this too long, but like I said, I disagree with Kevin. I don't think they're even comparable. I also don't think on paper you can say it's a crazy statement.
Sure.
I wish he'd quit trying to make the argument.
Yeah, Draymond was
here's
actually...
Here's the other thing. He's trying to convince people that LeBron ring chases. Half of fans already think that's true. I do. I know it's true.
He does.
Right?
LeBron does not ring chase. You can't ring chase if you are the best player and you bring the situation. LeBron or Kevin Durant
joined a Heat team that already won one. He joined a Lakers team that's
stop. He joined a Heat team that won one 8 years ago with a completely different roster. There was 2 players on the roster that were the same.
And one of them, player Dwayne Wade.
Stop. Yeah, who was past his prime by a good margin by the time that LeBron got there.
Can we talk about their first playoff when they were there? Was he the best player in the playoffs for them? He was the third leading scorer in the finals.
Yeah, in the finals, and they lost. Yes, but
they lost that because of LeBron.
In the playoffs as a totality, was he their best player? Yes. But they were all bad in the finals.
Anyway,
yes,
I don't want to get into the LeBron category.
My point is, no, he has never gone to a situation and not made the situation.
Hold on.
That Heat team did not make the playoffs the year before he went.
Stop.
And they went to the finals.
Stop. I don't want to go down this LeBron road. All the point I'm trying to make is, and you can't debate this, you can argue whether you think it's correct or not. Half of fans already think LeBron's a ring chaser.
I'm just saying it's just wrong.
Hold on.
It's just wrong.
I don't care if it's wrong. That's not the point I'm making. It's fact. Half people think that. I'm one of them.
I don't know that half of people do, but some people do, yeah.
Okay, the MJ people think he's a ring chaser. The LeBron people think he's not. So you're not going to convince either side. So Kevin making this argument, he's trying to win the people over that don't think LeBron is a ring chaser. Well, the people that don't think LeBron's a ring chaser, there's no way you're going to convince him that he is. So
I don't even think that's his goal. I think he's trying to save himself. I don't think he's trying to diss LeBron necessarily.
But he's doing that by saying, "Look, LeBron does it too." That's what he's saying.
No, yeah, sure, but
so my point is, the only people he would have to try to convince are people that aren't going to be convinced. The rest of them already think that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But Draymond was actually much more reserved than I would have expected him to be. I expected him to be super hot about it, but his response, he was talking about it on his show, and he was like, "You have to understand the way that KD views basketball. He's like, the way KD views basketball is very Uncle Drew-ish. This game will and always will be about buckets. So he's going to mention the 25-point scores because he did mention that. He's like, this is them adding 4 25-point per game scores onto one roster.
We've talked about this for 20 minutes. We need to move on. The only other thing I would say about Draymond,
he said
Draymond's
also
kind of maturing in his old age a little bit in things that he's saying and the way he reacts to things. So,
yeah,
finally,
he basically said that he can't agree with Kevin Durant saying that it was a better team on paper because he doesn't think that the 76ers work. Which
and that's exactly my take. I'm just saying I don't think it's a crazy statement either.
Sure. And then I just wanted to mention a few extensions that we've gotten. We got Jonathan Taylor extension, a Jahmyr Gibbs extension, a Bijan Robinson extension, and a Zay Flowers extension. I think all very deserved, all solid numbers. I think Gibbs and
I think I'm
Bijan,
100% sold on all of the running backs. I'm still not sold on Zay Flowers.
That's what I was about to get to.
I think that money is a lot for a guy that
for
really
Zay Flowers.
hasn't produced.
It's 4-year, $140 million, $108 guaranteed. He is far, 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 far and away the single best receiver that Lamar Jackson has ever had. But that's not saying anything. And he is the only receiver that has ever made the Pro Bowl with Lamar Jackson. They have never tried to get Lamar receiving help. But just because he's all you got doesn't mean he's worthy of being paid like a top 10 receiver in the league, because he's not.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's a lot of money for a guy that I don't believe is a bona fide number one receiver, and I don't think he is.
I agree. I think that it works with him being their number one because of how skilled Lamar is and how good their running game is with him and Derrick Henry, so it detracts enough defensively.
I just
from
look at
the
it.
receivers, but he's not a true number one.
He had 858 yards his first year, just 1,059 year two. Year three was 1211. He has a total of 14 touchdowns in his career at this point.
Now, in fairness, that is how the offense works. You get into the red zone and they're not throwing the ball to Zay Flowers.
No, I understand that, and I'm not arguing that. All I'm saying is,
I don't even think it's necessarily about the numbers. I just don't think he's a real number one in the NFL.
I do not think that either. Especially his size makes part of that. He's not Tyreek Hill. Right?
Like Jalen Waddle has had pretty good numbers to start his career. I don't necessarily think
he's had better numbers than that.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I think he's had pretty good numbers to start his career. I don't think he's necessarily a true number one either, though. I think he's a really
sort of
high end
disagree on Waddle, but
I think he's a really high end number two. Like,
I think they way overpaid for. I think they overpaid for him, but
yeah. Anyways, the Zay Flowers.
I think the other problem
contract
is, and I think that we've talked about this before. I don't know that we've talked about it on the podcast, and I think I get weird looks when I say this, but I think there's a part of it that's true, right? And you know my respect for Lamar Jackson. So this is not, hold on, this isn't a Lamar Jackson hatred or dislike. I would love to have him on my team. So, and I think he's actually a very skilled thrower of the football. But
players don't choose where they get drafted to.
Where they get drafted to, that just means they're not good at that part. But free agents is where I'm going. I don't think in general free agents, wide receivers want to go to this team because they're not going to put up 1,500, 1,700 yards in the air. They're not going to get big touchdown scores because of the way the offense runs, the way it runs through the running game, all of those things. So this is not a knock on Lamar. It's more of a knock on the offensive strategy. But that it works for them, so I don't have a problem with it. But I think you have a hard time bringing in high-priced free agents into that offense because they don't want to play in an offense where they're going to take a second seat to the running game.
Can I stop you?
Sure.
Really quickly. Where I entirely disagree with you, right? If you look, it's not about that, right? If you look at NFL free agent wide receivers, they don't exist, right? Like this season, Alec Pierce, the contract he signed, I think it was 4-year, like 120, 130, something like that, with the Colts, was the single highest free agent, like true free agent wide receiver signing in the history of the sport. Like if you look at the top 10 paid wide receivers going into next season, right? JSN, Jamar Chase, Drake London, Zay Flowers, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, AJ Brown, mostly because of the buyout money. So, or no, he got traded. I forgot he didn't get bought out. So my point being, what is true of all 10 of those players? They signed the contract with the team they were already playing for. They were extensions. My point being is that it's not.
You're oversimplifying
it's not
it.
that players, good receivers, don't want to go there. It's that they don't hit the free agent market. They just don't, right? Like number 11, Chris Olave.
The top 10 number one receivers are never going to hit the market. That's right.
12, Amon-Ra. 13, Brandon Ayuk. 14, T. Higgins. 15, Alec Pierce. Like I said,
Brandon Ayuk is on the market right now.
No, he's not.
When did he sign?
This week, the Niners re-signed him and Debo.
Okay.
But
Just
my
now.
point being,
He's been on the market for a long time.
well, it's because he's been hurt and he's caused a lot of drama and he's not that good. So
I
he's had
understand
one really
that,
good season.
But you brought him up. I didn't.
I'm saying, I'm just listing the names of the highest paid receivers for next season. My point being is that Alec Pierce was a true free agent for like 4 hours technically, but then still re-signed with the team he was already playing for. The first time you find an actual
you're missing
free agent wide receiver is at number 25. It's Devontae Adams.
Okay, this season
He was actually a free agent. But my point being is that receivers just don't leave until they're washed and they get cut.
That's not 100% true. So anyway,
It's
I don't want to go down this road
typically
anymore.
true. It's pretty typically true.
The other contracts I'm fine with.
Find the evidence.
The other contracts I'm fine with. The Zay it's not that I'm not okay with it. I think it's overpaid for him.
No, I agree. I think it is. I think that for that level, not to say that he's not a good player. I think he's a good player. He's not a true number one. He's not worthy of being the fourth highest paid receiver in the league. I said top 10 because I didn't know exactly where he'd fall in that. But based on this, he's the fourth highest paid receiver in the league next year. He's definitely not worthy of that. But he's a high end.
To me,
he's a decently high end number two. I think.
5'9", you have to be Tyreek Hill to get that kind of money.
Yeah, and see,
you're not a red zone threat.
Yeah.
And I get that's not their style, but they don't even have that option with him. I mean, that's where you'll use the tight end, right?
No, for sure.
Mark Andrews, but huh?
Right. Well, and that's and that's why obviously Zay Flowers would never have those numbers. First of all, your go-to in the red zone is going to be Lamar Jackson run. Your second go-to is going to be Derrick Henry run. Your third option is going to be throw the ball to Mark Andrews, and then your fourth option is probably going to be Justice Hill out of the backfield. So Zay Flowers is nowhere in that conversation, and that has nothing to do with Zay Flowers.
But
now,
I guess that's my point. You don't pay that kind of money to somebody that's not producing points.
His skill and ability,
nor even close to 100 yards a game.
I was gonna say his skill and ability doesn't necessarily complement the idea of using him in the red zone. But even if it did, they weren't going to. No, I know, but even if it did, they weren't going. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So why are they paying him that money? I don't. Why are they paying him that money? I don't know. That's yeah.
Now, do I hate it for them? No, they don't have any other options right now, so it's
just
almost
use your draft picks, honestly.
Thing. Yeah, and I
said just save the money and use your draft picks. Like you get a similar player.
Now, I can sympathize with the Ravens if he walks. I don't know what they have, but
not much. No, I mean he was still going to be under contract for this year.
They were kind of in a tough spot, but fair enough.
Yeah. So there's that. That's about all we got before we get into our preview. So now we can go ahead and get into our division preview, and I'm going to once again, as y'all know the drill, I'm going to share my screen. I've only got 3 options left. They're all going to be bangers coming out of the NFC. So let's decide where we're going today. Oh, barely. NFC South. Okay. I think that this is more entertaining and more exciting than the conversation we would have had in the NFC West, which is what it almost landed on. So I think this gets fun. NFC South.
So, again, before we start,
and before you say that, I did also want to briefly mention, because it's exciting and we are a pretty much mostly football podcast, about half and half, but probably a little bit more than half football. We had real football last night.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but it sounds like it was actually pretty good.
It was a great game. Carson Beck was out there hooping, and Haynes King was a menace.
I mean, against a bunch of third stringers.
Did you see his touchdown at the end of the game?
Yep, against a bunch of third stringers. They looked really good.
Stop.
I mean, it's preseason football.
He won ACC Player of the Year last year.
I'm not saying he's not going to be good, but acting like playing well in this game means anything. It doesn't.
No, of course it doesn't. But
That's all I'm
They
saying.
both looked better than expected. And Carson Beck, at some point this season, not Haynes King, but Carson Beck at some point this season actually has a realistic possibility of starting a football game.
I mean,
right?
I think that's not. I don't even think it's a question that he'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, they did just rework Jacoby Brissett's contract. He's going to be making somewhere like close to $20 million, so they do have financial incentive to keep Jacoby Brissett in the lineup. But it's not like they're trying to win games either. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at some point, it would be honestly shocking if we went the entire year without seeing a Carson Beck start. Haynes King, however, not going to start unless something goes colossally wrong in Carolina.
They would have to
Bryce
be
Young.
0-7 or Young get hurt.
But I think more so, it makes me feel really good about Dave Canales because he called a brilliant game. And I get it's a preseason game, whatever. But Dave Canales was really. I love Dave Canales. In fairness,
All right. So as we pick this division again,
I already hate my division picks for this one. By the way,
I did this in a way that I took each individual game, each individual week. I didn't look at overall records. I didn't do those things. I didn't say, well, there's got to be a trend somewhere where they lose some games or whatever. I don't like the way it turned out for me.
I don't either.
But I still think like the order in which I have these teams is right. I don't think the gap is as big as what I show. So, all right. So, who do you have in
Can I have? Oh, I hate that question. Ah! Can I guess who you have in last place?
Sure.
I mean, it's a 50-50 shot, but I'm going to go with the Falcons.
No.
Okay. The Saints?
Yes.
I
want to say something here because we talked about this towards the end of the season. I love what Kellen Moore is doing down there.
Agreed. And I think Tyler Shuck is going to be good, actually.
He looked
bare
really-
minimum, he's going to put up numbers.
Given what he had on that roster,
This team's going to throw the ball 40 times a game.
yeah, like given what he had to throw to and his weapons, he had a winning record down the stretch on a bad football team. I think Kellen Moore has that team moving in the right direction. I think they're still way too talentless
And
to do anything.
But if you have health on your side, you've got a dual backfield of Kamara and Achane. You've got Tyler Shuck in year 2 with Kellen Moore, who we like. And then if he can avoid concussions, Chris Olave is a really good one. And they drafted Jordan Tyson at 7 or 8, whatever pick they had. I think it was 8.
Yeah, but
whose biggest concern is injury. But if he stays healthy, he's got all the talent. Oh no, for sure. They're going to have to score points.
Potential. I like what Kellen Moore is doing. They were clearly playing for him towards the end of the last year.
I think there is a real good possibility.
They took Tampa and the other teams out of the playoffs last year.
Yeah, no,
right?
I think that there is actually a really good possibility, and I don't think this is even like a very hot take. That even if they don't win this division, they could have the best offense in this division, and it may not even be close, like statistically.
Maybe like I said, this is one of those last place teams I have in a division where it's not a disrespect to them. I think their future is bright. They're just way off. And I actually have them with the same record as the third. It's just tiebreakers.
That's fair.
I have my bottom two teams at 5 and 12.
Okay, so you actually have your worst team in this division a little bit worse than my worst team. But I promise.
And so my third place is the Panthers.
You have the Panthers at 5 and 12.
Yeah.
After winning the division.
Yeah, look, let's not forget they won the division. Was it a losing record? Was it 8 and 9 or was it 9 and 8?
They went 8. I think they went 8 and 9, but they might have gone 9 and 8. Either way.
I think it's important to point out a couple things. Yes, they won the division last year. It still wasn't pretty. They had moments where their defense played phenomenal and they had great running play.
Not moments. I think their defense was really good all year.
Yeah, and then they had a good running game.
And they added Jalen Phillips.
And I think but obviously, as we know, he's an injury-prone player.
For sure.
And I love him. I hated to let him go. He's a lifer Dolphin, in my opinion, but he's obviously a very injury-prone player going all the way back.
But if he's healthy, then they have a really good player.
He's a great player when he's healthy. And he's just a great person to have on your team, I believe. And I think Bryce Young took major steps last year to kind of squelch some of the negative pub he had in his prior years. Like he really led that team well.
I think he's got the it factor. I just don't think he's got the talent.
He's got the it factor. I don't even.
And
know
I hate to say that.
It's not even the
he's
talent.
Just so small.
He's really small.
So small.
But I don't think that
he makes. And I know their size is relatively similar, but at least just watching a football game, and maybe it's just because the difference in arm talent, and I get that. But he makes Drew Brees look big.
I was going to say
like,
he kind
Bryce
of makes
is
Kyler.
So small.
I think he makes Kyler Murray look big because Kyler.
I
Murray,
can't go that far, but Kyler can.
But
move.
here's the reason, though. The reason
Bryce can scoot a little bit, but
the reason though is Kyler is much more athletic, much faster, much more arm talent, I believe, than obviously Bryce Young has. But I agree with you that Bryce has the it factor. So again, I don't feel like dropping them from 8 or 9 to 5 wins is that big a deal. I know it's a step backwards for them, and it may change everything at that team. And I do think they're well coached right now. I just think it's tough.
I love Dave Canales.
That roster is just not complete yet. It's just not.
Yeah, okay, so here's where I'm going to go. I think that based on what you said and based on what I'm about to say, maybe there is a real world that Haynes King actually gets snaps this year for the Panthers.
He could. I hope not, because I do like Bryce Young.
I do. I like Bryce as a person,
but I do think he adds
a
component. He adds a component to the game that Bryce is never going to give you, and we saw it on the last game, right?
Yeah, and even before that, to set it up, like 3 plays earlier, he had a 25-yard scramble where he got himself out of bounds.
Right,
like, it was a great. I mean, they weren't even in field goal position at that point, and then he did that, and they didn't have timeouts. He got himself out of bounds, very aware of the clock. Like it was really good. Anyways. I'm not gonna, I guess, blush over preseason action, but it was a really fun game. So
yeah,
I was dying to watch some football.
I know it seems disrespectful to them. I'm not trying to be. I
don't know that it does because I think they are so easily able to just like unravel, and it's all because of whether or not the quarterback works out. My point being, my last place in the division is also the Panthers. It's 6-11. So I've got them 1 game better than you, but they are in sole possession of last place. I don't have them tied with anybody. That defense is really, really good.
Third?
Huh?
Are the Saints third for you?
I'll have to look in it. I think they are, yeah, but I'll have to look in a second. I'm not looking at it.
I mean,
right
I would
now.
assume.
But I've got the
I
Panthers
can get behind
6-11.
either way on that. I can. I think there's a possibility where the Saints are better than the Carolina Panthers this year. There's a chance.
Yeah, I really like Dave Canales. I love Dave Canales a lot. I think Dave Canales has it as a coach. I really do. And Bryce Young as a person, I love. The it factor seems there, but basically everything else just isn't. Like, and there's possible it can be, and he showed it in moments, but I just don't. I don't think he's going to be a real NFL quarterback for more than 3 or 4 more years at most. And if that's 3 or 4 more years, that's 2 of them at least bouncing around. Like, I just don't love it, and I hope I'm proven wrong. I really do.
Yeah, he seems like a good kid.
Yeah, that defense is so good. Honestly, like very underrated. J.C. Horn, they added Jalen Phillips. They've got the defensive tackle whose name is escaping me right now. That's really, really good. Plugs up the middle. That team seems good. Their offensive line was destroyed and decimated last year. They drafted a lineman, and then they're going to get some back, so maybe that can even be another piece that helps them. They did lose Rico Dowdle, so who knows what that does.
I mean, that's not nothing.
Jonathan Brooks is going to come back for their running game, who basically missed all of last season, so who knows. I just don't see it. I think that Tet has real number 1 upside. But outside of that, in their receiving core, Jalen Coker missed most of last season, so maybe him coming back helps. It just seems very meh and very bleh and very, like, could be decent, but could also be awful offensively. And so you're trusting that defense to carry you, and then hopefully Canales' scheme to carry you and be really quarterback independent, which with no weapons seems unlikely. So I don't love it, and it hurts me to say, honestly, because for teams that have zero emotional relevance to me, this one hurts me to say that I feel like they're not going to be good, right? Like, of teams that have zero emotional relevance to me, I want this team to be good, and I just don't. I don't love it. I don't see it.
So to be clear,
that being said,
yep.
all of these teams are relatively close. It would not shock me to see any of the 4 teams win this division. It really wouldn't.
I don't think it's close, and I've got some reasons for that. But
yeah, I know, and we're just going to fundamentally disagree there. But
yeah, I'm sure. Look,
do you have anything else to say on the Panthers?
No, I like them.
Okay, so I'm going to transition to the Saints. We've already talked about them a bit. They are my third place team. They're at 7-10, and they are tied with my second place team, but lost due to tiebreakers because they were 2-4.
So I assume you only have one playoff team in this division because that's all I have.
Yes. I think that's the right answer. But I've got the Saints at 7-10, 2-4 in division. My second place team went 3-3 in division, so there's the tiebreaker. Anyways, the Saints, like we said, I think. Oh, also that's good to note. Interestingly, the Panthers I have, even though they're 6-11, I have them 3-3 in division. So
I actually have the Panthers 4-2 in division.
The Saints are the only team
I have 4 of their winnings coming in this division.
The Saints are the only team. The Saints are the only team I have below 500 in division. They just get a couple more out of division wins than the Panthers do, so that is what carries them over them. Anyways, the Saints, I like the direction they're going in. I really do. I think Kellen Moore is great. Kind of everything we've talked about. I think that if they stay healthy, you've got Achane, Kamara, and Olave, and Jordan Tyson. Like, this team is enticing.
You know what I'm going to say about that?
They're going to put up numbers. Yeah. It's just their defense is going to let them down. And the second that people start getting hurt, it's going to
Well, and I also think the offensive line is still a question mark. But
yeah,
the interesting thing about the Saints is I do think in a couple of years they're going to be really good.
And I think it's very possible.
I think in a couple of years, they're going to be potentially a perennial playoff team if they keep building the right way, and I think they are. And I like what Kellen's doing. I already talked about it. I think Dallas is once again going to be looking at why did we not sign him? Kellen Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. I do also just think fundamentally, I think that was, we've talked about Dak, like turnover concerns. His most turnover-prone years were with Kellen Moore. I just think that Kellen Moore tries to run a system that Dak Prescott is not built to run. And so that goes kind of to the limitations of him as a quarterback, right? But I think that when you look at it, right, he went to the Chargers, and statistically, Justin Herbert had the best season of his career. Now, that was also the year that he threw 4 interceptions to the Texans in the playoffs, but he had the best season of his career, statistically. And then he went to the Eagles, and they won a Super Bowl. And the running game was phenomenal, and Saquon Barkley ran for 2,000 yards. And obviously, that's not all Kellen Moore. They had a stupid good offensive line. You've got Jalen Hurts as a mobile quarterback, right? Like, it's not all Kellen Moore, but it's not a coincidence that the best offense that team has had under Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts was with Kellen Moore.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
And then down the back half, once he puts Tyler Shuck in the lineup and can really open up the offense, like, they were pretty good, right? So it's not a coincidence. I do agree with you fundamentally, right, that like Kellen Moore is a better option than Mike McCarthy for sure, and we'll see on Schottenheimer right now for the Cowboys, who knows. But it's not the best for maximizing Dak, and not that they've done that since he left either, I guess. But it's not the best for maximizing Dak because Kellen Moore's system just doesn't fit super great.
Yep.
Tyler Shuck is just like potentially has the potential, at least arm talent wise, to just be a more talented quarterback.
Yeah. So moving on.
Like I said, it also hurts me in this division.
Yeah.
It also hurts me in this division. Just because, like I said, any of the 4 teams can win this division. I truly believe that.
I know we're going to disagree on this.
Every time I make a pick, I don't feel great about it.
I don't feel great. I don't feel great about where I have the records.
I think your record is going to be astronomical, and it's going to be dumb.
Yeah, I agree with that. But again, I was looking at each week in a microcosm, and I was not looking at it as a whole. So let's talk about my second place team first, which is the Falcons.
I know.
And I have them at 6-11. I do not like this team. I think they have a bunch of talent in a lot of spots, but the one that matters, I am not sold on Penix. I don't think he's that good. He has looked.
I don't think Penix is going to start.
I know, and that's not good. Tua without Mike McDaniels, I don't know what that looks like in the NFL. I just
Kevin
don't.
Stefanski's won 2 Coach of the Year awards.
I'm not saying he's not a good coach. I'm just saying that I mean, so what? He starts and he's knocked out in game one. I mean,
Then you go to Penix.
Even if he plays well, then you're going to Penix. And I don't have any faith in Penix. I love Tua when he can stay healthy, but I also don't know what it's going to look like without the Mike McDaniels offense, which was perfect for Tua. I don't think that's the offense they're running in the Falcons organization because that's not what Penix needs, right? So, like,
Okay.
Look,
I disagree with that because Penix doesn't have an elite arm either.
Hold on. I think that this is. I think this is very similar situation, and I'm giving way too much credit to the Falcons here when I say this, of the Vikings of last year. You've got a stud roster, but
I don't think that's that disrespectful.
The most important piece,
crazy.
The most important piece isn't good. And it doesn't matter.
But I think the most important piece for the Falcons this year has the potential to be much better than that piece for the Vikings last year. Because
maybe
JJ McCarthy was like 30th, 31st.
Tua might be if he plays the whole season and plays well.
So here's the thing.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. If Tua gets the ball out of his hands and he doesn't get hit, which is all very possible, he can play the whole season. Here's my thing right now.
Look, I would love to see nothing. I would love to see Tua succeed. I just don't see it. Do I think he's better than Penix?
I'm not saying it's going to be successful. I'm not saying we're going to look at them
I
every
think,
week and be like, oh, that's a good football team.
Right.
I'm just saying this whole division's not great.
Do I think he's better than Penix? 100%.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy.
I think he's going to start. Well, and Penix still has the injury concerns, like when is he going to be back from whenever he messed up his knee last year. Who knows, right? And
I don't even know who their third is.
It was somebody of semi-noteworthiness recently.
So here's what I'll say. And if Penix is the guy and they know that, then fine. This roster has gotten too good pretty quickly to be getting that position wrong. Even if you had to bring in a free agent, and I don't mean like Tua, a guy that's durable, that can play, that has had success in the league, like you should have done something. Because the way I look at this is you're wasting a whole nother year with a pretty good roster.
Cooper Rush is their third, which isn't great.
Yeah, but that's not
with
great
pieces
either.
But with pieces around him, it's not horrendous.
That's fair. He wasn't bad when he had a prime Zeke and he had some things like that. He was not bad.
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I will say. Okay? On the Falcons, first of all, I think Stefanski is stupid underrated because of everything that happened in Cleveland, and not to say that he wasn't part of the Deshaun stuff, whatever, who knows. Okay, fine. But X's and O's. I'm not talking about building a roster. I'm not talking about whether or not it was his fault he got fired. X's and O's. I think he's very underrated because of how Cleveland ended and the fact that he was the coach of the Browns, which can never go well, as we've discussed, right? But for as good as it could have gone, he was about as good as it could have been. I mean, he was there for 5-6 years, which in Cleveland is stupid, right?
He also had your best pound-for-pound player in the NFL on one side of the ball.
Well, and I agree to that statement, but one player doesn't, no matter how good you are, one player doesn't make the roster. And there were several years where they actually had a good, competent offense in Cleveland with him. Not elite offense, but several years where it was good and competent. He won 2 Coach of the Year awards, right? One of them, which was because he had 4 different starting quarterbacks that season, and they made the playoffs, right? And the one that was the best of them was Joe Flacco, which Joe Flacco, shout out, he still has his games here and there, but like he's borderline 40, and it's not like he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. So, and he starts inconsistently, so it's not like he's even getting consistent reps. So my point being, he was literally on the couch that season. He came out of retirement. Halfway through the year. My point being, I do trust Stefanski, and they've got weapons out the wazoo, right? Like Drake London is really good.
I trust him.
Bijan is really good.
Though.
Kyle Pitts is not elite, but he is solid.
He has elite talent.
He has elite talent, and he is not what everybody has hoped he would be, but he's solid. And then their defense is coming along pretty nicely, like with A.J. Terrell and then the edge rushers that they've drafted recently. Like I think there's potential
I just think
there.
The quarterback is going to be a cluster.
Don't get me wrong. I'm telling you this now. I have them at 8 and 9. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything, right? But I think that baseline, they have a floor because of Stefanski and because of the weapons. If Tua's healthy, he can be decent enough for them to win games. Like with Bijan, who had 800-something receiving yards last season, just dumping it off. With Kyle Pitts, just dumping it off. With your occasional play-action shot play where he gets it out in 2 seconds to Drake London. Like, this has potential to succeed. Not to 23 Dolphins standards, right? But it has potential for them to win a division that's not good, right? And don't get me wrong, I like the 4 teams in this division. I really enjoy them, but it doesn't make them good. It makes them all a year or two away. And they're all trending in the right direction, except for one that I think is kind of not trending in the right direction. But they're trending in the right direction-ish. It doesn't mean they're good right now. So it definitely gives them the absolute potential to win this division with Tua. And even if your concern is injury, and that's fair, right? Obviously. Duh.
Only
that's
takes
the
one
concern.
hit with him. Literally one
you're right.
hit. And he
you
could
bring
die.
in Michael Penix. You bring in Michael Penix, and I don't love Michael Penix, by the way. I don't think he's that good. But when you look at it, he had Raheem Morris. And Raheem Morris is, I don't know if he's a good coach, bad coach, whatever. He's not an offensive coach, that's for sure. Right? Now you're bringing in Stefanski. Stefanski can win a game with Michael Penix, I promise you. Is he going to win 12? No. But is he going to win 8 or 9 and that be enough to win this division?
All I know
Possibly.
is McConnell could barely win a game with 9 last year.
I mean,
And
they still
even
won
if they-
9 games. They still won 9 games and
I
did not finish
know,
last
but
in
they
that
have
division.
an elite roster. So
I think that their roster is slightly overstated because of how good O'Connell is. But they do have a really good roster. Well, they do have a pretty good roster. I would say, relatively speaking, it's semi-comparable right now to the Falcons. I think that they do have a better roster.
I'm just
than the
saying, I
Falcons.
wouldn't be shocked if by
but
week
it's
8
not-
Cooper Rush is your starter, and that's not good.
But I think it could be. Like in terms of in terms of just squeaking by and winning games, not putting up numbers, but in terms of squeaking by and doing enough to win a game, it could be.
I don't know. The last time we saw him play any significant minutes, he was a turnover machine.
Was he?
Yeah,
I don't think that was true.
I think it was.
Where?
Huh? In Dallas.
Really? I'm not disagreeing with you. I just want to look at the numbers because I honestly just don't remember. I remember he started 1 year when Dak was hurt. Let me. I mean, in 2024, he had 12 touchdowns and 5 picks. I don't know that I call that a turnover machine. It's not great, but it's not. But he's a backup quarterback. Other than that, I mean, he's never really played much other than that.
No,
I
but
mean,
he's only had one season where he had over 100 quarterback rating. Most of them are in the mid 80s, 70s, or 40. And I get the sample size is small.
Yeah.
This was just one of those Jerry Jones things. If you end up with him as your starter, it's not going to turn
No,
out.
obviously it's not good, but like with Stefanski and then all the weapons around him, I think you could win games, especially in this division. But listen, like I said, I don't love any of my picks in this division. I don't. But
So
also for what it's
obviously at one, I have the Bucks.
So for what it's worth, my winning percentage for or my strength of schedule for the Falcons is a .478. So their schedule is pretty light, according to me. So I don't think that I don't pick them in anything.
I have them at a .507, but part of that's because of Tampa's record.
Right. Whereas the Buccaneers, to me, have a .533 strength of schedule. So, anyways, at number 1, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What is their record?
I don't want to talk about that. But I can tell you all the reasons why I have them there. Huh?
13-4.
No, they're 15-2 in my world.
Oh my gosh!
I already said I don't think it's going to happen. And again, I looked at each week. I wasn't looking at the totals. That's just how it came out.
Okay,
So-
but each week, I'm not saying that they will be because I'm not predicting it, but they could be 1-3 after 4.
Yeah, could be.
Holy crap!
Well, I
So
have
the
them
two-game-
losing. I have them losing game 1 against the Bengals at home.
So you have them losing to the Bengals, and you have them losing one other game the rest of the season. Is that in Baltimore?
No, I don't think I have them losing that game.
So Baltimore coming off of a bye at home. You have them winning.
I have
Oh, you have them losing to the Rams.
no. I haven't beaten them at that game.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I think that division's going to beat the crap out of itself. I still think they're the best team in the league, but I have the Lions beating them in Week 11.
Holy crap. 2 games.
Yeah, like I said, I already said I don't like it. I still think it's the right order. Like I think they're the.
You've had several
teams.
teams. You had several teams that I feel you put way too low. There wasn't ever a time until now where I'm like, you're way too high on that team. That's crazy.
I'm to be clear, I'm not overly high on the team. It's the way I looked at this, right? But I will say a couple of things. Like I think they're going to win the division. Do I think they're going to win 15 games? No, I do not. Are there several games on their schedule could easily go the other way? Yes, of course.
Are they going to win double-digit games?
Yeah, I think they will. But here's one of the biggest reasons why. Baker plays at his best when he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's going into this year with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove again.
Absolutely.
And I think he's going to light it up this year. I like the young guy that started to step up last year when Mike Evans was out. What's his name? He's got a lot of he's got a lot of potential. I like the tight end.
He also got banged up and fell off a cliff in the second half. So
I understand that, but so was the.
I think he is actually
Baker.
I think he is actually closer to first half than second half, but I don't.
Right,
but still.
So, but I think Baker's going to go out there and have a year. I really do.
You know what I think? I think
What?
this is the year that Todd Bowles finally 3 years too late gets fired. Finally, deserves to be. Sucks.
I mean,
should have been fired this year. I'd probably have a different outlook on this team right now, not by drastically, but I'd probably have a slightly different outlook on this team if Todd Bowles was not the head coach. Here's the thing: I've got them going 7-10, so I do have the Falcons winning the division at 8-9, and I do think that whether or not the Falcons win the division, I don't know. But if you asked me to pick a sweet spot of what the total number of wins will be for the team that wins this division, I will say it's 8 or 9. If you ask me, like I do not foresee. It is possible. I guess one of them gets to 10.
I think
but I do not foresee a team getting to double-digit wins. I
think the Bucs are at 10
it,
or 11 realistically.
I don't foresee a team getting to double-digit wins in this division. I will say I think the team that has the highest potential in theory to get to double-digit wins would be the Saints, and that would be if they take an even bigger step than what we would expect or
obviously
anticipate.
that's a way bigger step than we expect them to take.
Obviously, but my point being is that it's like the theoretical idea is there. With the other teams, I feel like I know, relatively speaking, what I'm going to get. With the Saints, it's still a question mark, and I'm just not predicting them overly high, is what I'm saying. But I think that it could be
we're
there
about to
because
get
the question
Baker's
is
best
there.
season as a pro, and that's saying something because he's had a good season.
It is definitely saying something, which is why I can't get there with you. I mean, this team is the least talented team he has had in Tampa, for sure. I mean, you lost Mike Evans. Chris Godwin is kind of MIA, like he exists, but what does he look like? Igbuka is coming off of an injury, and do you have to account for a sophomore slump? Who knows? Bucky is coming back from injury. Baker himself is coming back from injury. The offensive line is, the defense sucks. I just don't. There's nothing that I desire with this roster right now.
It's fair. I just think in general the division's weak. So
I agree. And could they win it? Maybe. But again, 8 or 9 wins.
I think it'll be 10 or 11 realistically, but.
I could foresee a team getting to 10 wins, especially late in the year if they start to pull away from the division. And so then it's not to say that the teams wouldn't try, but it gets bogged down. I could see a team getting to 10 wins. It's not going to be shocking to me. But I'm not picking it to happen, and I do think that if I had to bet money on a number for this team to win the division for any of the teams to win this division it'd be 8 or 9 wins.
Look, I won't be shocked by that either.
I hope I'm wrong.
I like my standings. I don't like how the record end up with.
Obviously,
I don't know that I will use this process in the future unless it turns out really well for me. But it was just
here's what I will say. Here's what I will say on that note. Obviously, I hope that it's the Bucs. I hope that they win it. I hope that Baker goes and wins MVP. Last
I'm
year,
not predicting that.
No, right.
Although if
Last
he did that, he could.
Last year, I was predicting him to be a dark horse MVP candidate. I'm nowhere near predicting that this year. However, if they get to 10 or 11 wins, he will be in the conversation because that's what it will take. It will take a heroic performance. Their roster's not great right now. He will put up stupid numbers if they get to 10 or 11 wins. So,
yep.
But, all right. That's all we got for this week. Thanks for watching. We got 2 divisions left, the West and the North.
Very intriguing divisions. And I like my
Very
picks in
intriguing
both of them.
conversations.
I like both of my picks.
I feel really good about my picks in one of them. I feel less good in the other one, but still solid. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all we got for this week. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe at Gen Beef Pod on all the socials. Share us with your friends. Keep coming back. We out.
Peace.
Peace.